Hey up, it's Farmer Phil here at Peahe Farms, and today's part 3 of our wee mini-series on why mobbing animals up, moving them very frequently and giving the pastures an adequate recovery period is so beneficial. Today we're talking about why it's so beneficial to the animals. And right at the start I want to get the elephant in the paddock out of the way, which is that some people might believe that grouping animals up relatively closely is cruel and it shouldn't be done. And there you may be used to seeing the picture of a few animals in this wide open landscape being able to roam around and pitch that as being free range. Well, actually, with these animals being herbivores and prey animals, instinctively they feel safer when they're in larger groups, and also when they're grouped together. So it gives them that feeling of safety, reduces their stress and helps them relax. And also, because we're moving them so frequently, they get used to interacting with us, and so they are very calm and responsive to how we act and what we do. And as you may see behind us, they're bunched together, but there's no back fencing. They can actually wander right past me, past the camera, for another 50 metres, and in fact they will do, to get to their water. And so they're wanting to be down there together where there's some fresher, sweeter pastures. So with that out of the way, I want to talk about why these simple management strategies does vastly improve animal health, and it's probably for a number of reasons. And you may remember yesterday me talking about how this management strategy creates denser and more diverse pastures. Well, because of this greater diversity in what the animals are eating, like us humans, with variety is the spice of life, they're more interested and want to eat different things. And also we're giving them a different nutritional plane by giving them access to different types of forages through that denser, more diverse pasture. And so I kind of like reckon it as, with the kids, we're getting them to eat their broccoli and the cauliflower as well as the cookies and the sweets. And we're seeing the animals really respond well to that. And so aside from the higher nutrition they're getting from the pastures, we also get a reduced number of health issues. And that's potentially because we're breaking the parasite life cycle in a number of ways by managing the land in this way. One of which is, I'll take a step back. I'll talk about the parasite life cycle just very briefly, which is the majority of parasites found in pastures come out of the back end of the animal. So when they poop, there's potentially eggs in that dung that then get deposited in the pasture. After a number of days, those eggs hatch and the parasites climb up into the pasture. Then when the animal comes back round, they'll ingest the grasses and potentially those parasites, and that's how they get reinfected. Now, because we're grazing taller pastures, that parasite load on the animal is vastly reduced, and that's because over 80% of the parasites in the pasture reside in the bottom 3 inches or 75 mil of that pasture. So when we're grazing at a much higher level, there's less opportunity for the animals to be ingesting those parasites and eggs. Secondly, because we're moving them so frequently, there's very little time for the animals to be ingesting pastures very close to previous dung cycles from when the animals have grazed in the last grazing round. And so we're not forcing them to eat too close to that, and again the potential to pick up parasites in that way. And thirdly, because parasites need a host to survive, because we're giving it a really long period before coming back round into the same spot, a lot of those parasites have actually lived out their life cycle that they can afford to without a host, and so have died. And most of these parasites can live, probably, depending on environmental conditions, between 30 and 60 days. So if you've got a recovery period of 60, 90, 150 days before coming back to that last spot, then more often than not, the parasite load would have significantly reduced within that pasture. So because we've got this increased nutritional intake, decreased parasite load, we're not having to use medicinal crutches at all. And what I mean by that is we're not pumping these animals with drenches, antibiotics, antivirals through vaccines. just because we don't see the need to, because their health is vastly improved and there's a lot of preventative things going on from exposing them to heavy burdens. And so with that also has the added benefit we don't necessarily need to run the stock through yards very often at all. And again, that just reduces the stress on them, reduces the potential for stress-induced parasites to take over, and just continues that spiral of increased health. And we're really loving kind of how we can interact with these animals in an extremely calm manner on a daily basis, and we're concentrated on doing the things we want to do, not what we don't want to do. So there you have it. Hopefully you've seen how this simple management strategy can increase the nutrition of the animal, decrease the amount of parasites they're susceptible to, and significantly reduces the amount of medicinal crutches we need to use, and therefore external inputs being brought onto the farm. So hopefully you liked what you saw, and you'll stay tuned for tomorrow, where we'll be looking at part 4 and why this management strategy gives the farmer a much improved lifestyle. So remember, you can subscribe to the channel, you can leave any comments, questions, we'll endeavour to answer them, and you can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at PH Farms. Catch you next time.